Unit number 8, digital innovation. So we're approaching the last part, and let's talk today about managing new product development, the process itself. So how that's gonna work. So the first of all, so let's go to the objectives of the new product development process. So for this one, every single company will have different agenda, what they really want to emphasize on. So first of all, we have, for example, maximizing the product's fit with the customer requirements. So for this one, what we have is that what they want is to understand what really the consumer is looking for. So you're going to use all your resources in trying to understand what they want and trying to add as many features as you want about that. Second thing, we need to understand how much the consumer is willing to pay for that. If we're going to put a lot of resources on that, a lot of materials, a lot of quality on it, how much they are willing to pay for it. We can get out of budget in the production process, but in the end, how much is that consumer willing to pay for it or not? Some of them will say like, has great features, it works very well, smart fridge, fantastic, but I don't need it. I'm not willing to pay, for example, for a smart fridge, 10 million Korean won for a fridge. I would rather spend 1,000 and just be smart by myself. Right. So anyways, second, we have also firms also have difficulty resolving heterogeneity in customer demand. So customer demands may vary from all the customers that we have. Some of them want functionality, some of them want value for money. So we have to address again what our company really is, who we are, what kind of products do we have, and based on that, try to follow our own strategy as a company. If we try to please every single customer, we'll be cut in the middle. So we cannot do that. So now let's go to second one, minimizing the development cycle time. So the same thing. Some companies, what they're trying to do is try to launch products as quickly as possible. Like we have discussed that, for example, in the smartphone market. These development cycle times are very short, and why they try to work on and on rather with the previous technology, use a little bit of it and develop the new one and so on. So in this case, the shorter the cycles that we have, also that we are pushing our previous products outside of the market. So this is competence destroying, like we have seen it before. Like you have learned on your Nintendo example, you can see the cycles of Nintendo actually not that short. Usually they last for maybe 7 to 10 years, I can say. They are shortening, but somehow again they are not fighting against themselves. So we have to look at that, whether we have the competition pushing for it. In this case, for example, the video game consoles are pushing for that very constantly, because all the time they are trying to launch new products, new services, and then they have that constant pressure from the industry as well. And then we have finally controlling the development cost. So another issue that we have in there is that um, companies need to control in terms of time, in terms of what the consumer is really looking for, and see whether we can manage those costs to what the customer is expecting. Sometimes for trying to make it too fast, perhaps the product will be too expensive, or the same thing, if it's too slow, if it takes too long to develop, we need a lot of resources, and that's going to be reflected on the final price of the product. Here there's a very interesting video which is working in Google as a product manager, so you can see how the process works, how they work together, how they become owners of their own product in order for it to be successful. I think it's a great example. You should really look at that video. Now we have different approaches in terms of how we are going to do the project. We were talking about just now about the timing, how long is going to take, and how much are we willing to pay for that. So in this case, we have two different types of processing. We have the sequential as compared to the partly parallel. So for example, sequential, if we were say, let's take the example outside technology, which is, for example, a construction. I need the foundation, then I need level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. I cannot start to build level 3 until I finish level 2, and so on. So there are some projects or some products that we need to finish them so we can continue with the next one. However, when we think, for example, a partly parallel development process, when we think of a computer to be created, then in that case we don't need to do that. We can develop the monitor from one side, and at the same time we can be doing something else and something else, and that, of course, that cycle time can be much faster. Now, when we're talking about this kind of products, this new product development, we have something called the project champions. So project champions is an approach developed by lean management, lean production, which is, if you already know one employee in your company that has previously experienced a lot of experience in new products, has launched successfully previous products, that means probably can bring better value to this new product development. Why? They already know what could possibly be wrong, they know how to calculate the risks, and that usually works very well. Of course, there's some myths about it that means that because he had success before, that's gonna work again. No, it's not an insurance. You don't know if it's gonna work again. Secondly, champions get involved because they want. No, sometimes it's we call you, double work, we're not gonna pay you more, so be it. So you have to do it regardless you want or not, right? Champions are likely to be involved in radical innovation. No, it can be also incremental innovation. It can be any type of innovation, so it doesn't matter. They have to be from high or low levels. No, they can be from any level, as long in any department, same as number 5. Department or level, it doesn't matter. You may be from the production side, you can be from the managerial, you can be from marketing, you can be from any department, and the same thing, maybe you have a lot of expertise in terms of the production as well, in the manufacturing as well, so maybe that expertise is going to be useful for you. So now we also have, in this product development process, we can also talk about crowdsourcing. This is a very novel approach. Now also there's a lot of talent around the world, let's put it that way. So there's a lot of people who really want to put their ideas and they really want to fix problems. It's a hobby of them, and then some companies open their problems and say, okay, I need someone to add value to this project, so give me solutions. We run out of ideas. So there's like this website that's, for example, jet2.com innocentive, that they put problems pretty much what they do, and say, okay, people, how can you improve this process? Give us some ideas. And of course people will just pitch in their ideas, and of course those ideas will be published on how the company used it, and of course they give the credit to you. Now in tools for improving the process, here the important thing is the stages. So we have the stage gate process. That means something is working, we continue to the next stage. Something continues to work well, we continue to the next stage. But what happens sometimes? Stages are not fully developed, there are some failures and we cannot carry on, or sometimes the product we realize is costing too much to be processed, to be produced, and we have to kill it. And this is very critical because sometimes we have inertia, that inertia that we have spoken before, where if those core rigidities are too strong, killing a project is difficult. So we have to think in very early stages, specifically when we have those core rigidities, at very early stages we have to kill those products that don't work at all. So we have to be very careful of that. In the slide I also mentioned, for example, the case of Nokia. Nokia spent a lot of money. Actually, they spent, the company, they killed themselves by not killing products, which is the operational system, on time. They decided to go further and further, fail and further fail, until they were bankrupted. So now when we are developing new products, sometimes it's about innovation, sometimes it's about the customer, But sometimes it's also about the manufacturing. How can we produce high volume? So if we want to produce high volume, we're going to design a product in a sense that has much lesser components. The components can be sourced locally. So in that case, we can design for manufacturing. So that means that the costs are going to be lower and the production is going to be much faster, more efficient. Now, in this new product development process, we can use technology to try things first in the computer, and once they work, then we decide to go and get prototypes. So this is the case, for example, the AutoCAD. AutoCAD is this kind of software that you can design, do all the dimensions, and you can even expose it to actual conditions. Some of them have the functions of like gravity or scratch or wind or so, and then we can design it first, test it, and once it works, we decide to go and do the prototype. This prototype also can be the traditional method, or we can also use newer methods such as the 3D printing. And that also works very well because it saves a lot of time. You can see this video of how IKEA use these systems. I think is very interesting. You should watch it. How they use all these electronic systems. Of course, the video is not the latest, but it still works very well. Right? Now, we have the measuring tools for measuring new product development performance. So we need to understand as a company what our goals, how we're going to achieve them in terms of financially, human resources, assets, how we're going to use them in order to develop. So how much effort are we putting and whether it's going to pay back as well. The same thing, compare ourselves to other companies. We cannot just say, yes, we are Nintendo, we're doing very well, thank you so much. No, other companies are doing much better than you, which in this case we saw it, Microsoft or Xbox. They are doing very well. So in this case, benchmarking yourselves against other companies is important as well when developing new product, because if you're not up to the standard of the market, you can fail. Second thing, the employee resource allocation and employee compensation, the same thing, how much we spend on our resources. And finally, how we manage that knowledge, how we look into the future and say, we have this knowledge and in the future we can use it for X or Y innovation. And then we have the overall innovation performance. So in this case, we have to see out of the products or the processes that we are developing, how much they pay back. Money. In this case, we have to think, we spend $20,000 on the development of this project, but we earn nothing. We just broke even. In this case, we only made the same $20,000 that we invested. That doesn't work very well. So we need to find out why we spend so much resources and minimize that investment or maximize the cost. Because you can say, well, I can just increase the cost of the product, but what if the consumer is not really willing to pay for it? Second thing, what percentage of projects achieve their sales goals? In this case, we have a certain benchmark to fill, and those sales are not going in there, maybe because we were late entrants to the market. We have what percentage of revenues are generated by products developed within the past 5 years. We need to think also time frames. This is doesn't have to be past 5 years. It's depending to the cycle, to the development cycle of the product. And finally, ratio successful of projects. So earlier we talked about the innovation funnel. We have a lot of projects. For example, Google has billion projects, but not all of them are successful. So in this case, what's the point of having so many projects fail? I'd rather have one project but successful. So we have to look at the ratio of how successful we are with these projects and whether we need to tighten a little bit the bolts to see how we can be more effective with the resources, with the time and the money. So that's it for today. If you have any questions, please make sure you contact me. Okay, thank you so much, and I'll see you one day.